Here we have the new 2024 Subaru Solterra. This one comes in elemental red pearl in the limited trim level. And then we get the black Star Tex interior. We get all-wheel drive, so an electric motor on each axle. And then the battery is 72.8 kilowatt hours. But as we come around to the front end here, LED headlamps along with LED daytime running lights and LED fog lights. And as we review the vehicle, you'll see how many things that this shares with the BZ4X by Toyota. But down here we get 20-inch alloy wheels, charge ports here. Now we do have DC fast charge capability, but we only have, I believe, 100 kilowatt max charge speed there. And I've read that the charging curve is a little better than it was in previous years, but just keep that in mind. We get a max range of 222 miles, EPA estimated. Memory seat controls, we get one-touch automatic up and down windows on all four doors, power door lock controls, rear window lock. We get automatic folding side mirrors with blind spot monitors, and then we can pick a side and adjust the mirrors themselves here. 2 bottle holders in the door, Harman Kardon sound system, auto high beams, power lift gate. We'll pop the front so you can see that. Then we get a manual tilt telescoping steering wheel. But here's the power driver's seat with 2-way power lumbar support. Now I have that seat up front adjusted for someone of my size, being 6'3" with longer legs in my driving position. I want to give a big thank you to Daryl Waltrip Subaru for allowing me to review this Solterra today. I'll leave a link below in the description. And if you're trying to find the best deal on a Solterra in your area, make sure you click that link below, fill out the info. It takes about a minute or two, and I can match you up with some of the dealers in your area, make sure they get you that best price. But this sticker's for $51,665. Let's go ahead and hop back here. So very good space back here. I will say that headroom is good, legroom is fantastic. And then seat back pockets are on both sides. 2 USB-C charge ports, 3-stage heated outboard seats, your rear AC vents are there. There's a view of the front, and that might look familiar because it's very Toyota-esque, if you will. And this is just to show you the seat folded flat. I don't know what this is here, but it's in a box. I didn't want to touch it. But that's why the seat's folded flat. So you see that now instead of me going to show you how it folds. But I'll show you on this seat here momentarily. And then we can hang a couple metal hanger hooks, maybe a plastic one there. I will say the door opening is not as big as I would expect, but not necessarily bad. Now to pull the seat down, grab here, pretty easy to do. And then pretty easy to lock it back into place. Just watch the seat belt. But as we come around to the back end, we do get LED taillights, which is nice. And it has a nice design to it, I think. I like the Solterra better than the BZ4X, just based on the looks alone, which there are very few changes. They're minor, I should say. But as you can see, if you want to use this for cargo storage, you have tons of space. And then you get the Harman Kardon subwoofer back here. If you lift this up, if I can get under here, tire inflator kit is right under there. We'll take a look underneath the vehicle. And then come around to the front passenger seat. I do like that we get power on this seat. And then down here, this is a nice touch. You have a USB-C charge port on either side there and a 12 volt here. And if you want to hide something or put a small bag there, you can. And I don't see a glove box here. That's interesting. But coming back around to the front, there's that front electric motor there. But into the driver's seat we go. So I don't know if this is Star Tex or if this is actual leather, but whatever it is, it feels very nice on the steering wheel here. And a very interesting design, having the flat bottom here, and then you have the flat top there. There's the horn sound. Now over here to the radio, again, just like in the Toyotas, you have the navigation subscription there. For audio sources, we have AM, FM, XM. We also have Bluetooth and wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatibility. And then the general settings, you can go in here and change your language or units of measurement if you so choose. So a very simple setup, but it has everything you need here. Backup cameras there. You get the guidelines that follow you as you turn the steering wheel, and you also have the bird's eye view as well. And then you have the front camera there, and you put it in drive. Cut this down just a tad. Now this is interesting how the volume is right here and the power button's in the middle there. It's very just strange. I like it, but it's interesting. Now we have 3-stage heated front seats and a heated steering wheel. You can set those all to auto if you so choose. Fan speed can be adjusted here. Fan direction can be toggled here. And then we can decide what temperature we want either side to be on there. Hazards right there in the middle, I like that. We have the electronic parking brake over here. Pull up to engage, hit the brake, press down to disengage. And then here is the one pedal, so we can toggle that there. Automatic brake hold here. And then you have your drive modes. So you have power, eco, and normal. And then you also have your X modes here as well if you want to use that all-wheel drive capability, whether you're needing to do the sand or snow and dirt or the deep snow and mud. But traction control, and then I don't know what that is. It's very interesting. And then we could pull up the surround view camera there. Now this, something else that's interesting is the self-parking assist, which was just weird to use. I wouldn't use it because it's pretty easy to navigate anyway, but I didn't get it. Now for the shifter, push this down, reverse, just hold it for neutral, push, pull that way for drive, and then press P for park there. Bottle holders here, center console cubby space, and I like the tray, and all the owner's manuals are in there. So it's a nice hideaway there, since it looks like we've been robbed of a glove compartment. But there's a look at the back seat from up here. Now another thing I will say is I like that you're able to kind of have storage here if you so choose. So you can kind of put papers and stuff up there if you want to. But back to the steering wheel, blinkers, high beams, flash. You have your auto lights, and then you can turn the daytime running lights off there. Fog light toggle. And then over here we have our automatic wipers, one time off, auto, low, high. We can adjust the auto sensitivity here. And then we do get paddle shifters behind the steering wheel. And I'm assuming that's for the regenerative braking. We'll test that out in the test drive. And then over here we have all of our Subaru safety controls. So the lane centering's there, adaptive cruise there, go through your modes there, adjust the gap, and then set the speed here. Hit this mode button to go through your sources. Hit this to go through your track list, radio station presets. And then on this side, volume, up, down, voice recognition. And then we can go through the sub menu whether we want to pull that up or not. And then within there, we can use these 4 arrows to go through our settings. So we're gonna make sure that, so you can hold here for your meter settings if you want to change it from the screen, which I like you're able to do. But I'm trying to get to the lane centering. So we can go through all of that here if we want to change any of those options. Push button start. We can go through the odometer or trip meter here. And then we can adjust brightness there for the gauge cluster. And then finally, here's our key fob. And next, let's go ahead and take this Subaru Solterra out on the road for a test drive. So starting the test drive in the Solterra, I figured out what this dial was here. This is to set your grip mode when you're in X drive. So whether you're in the snow dirt mode or the sand mode, whatever, you go between those two X modes and you can actually toggle the grip up and down here. So the lower you want, you set that down. The higher you want, you set that up. And it's just so, it's so Subaru-like to put that on the first EV that they have. Even though this is, you know, everybody kind of just, I feel like started making EVs because they low-key had to. Subaru said, yeah, we'll make an EV, but it's still gonna be a Subaru, and that's impressed me right off the bat so far. This still feels like the typical Subaru Outback or Forester that I would want, just in an EV setup. And with the dual motor setup, this thing is super quick. And I'm just in the normal drive mode now. I'm not even in the power mode. So I'm gonna put that into gear when I get on the interstate. But so far, I mean, the ride is actually pretty good for an EV, I think. Of course, you can kind of feel the weight of it as you go over bumps, but it's not uncomfortable. And the space here is very nice as well. From the width of the seat, able to hold my wider stature, to the headroom. We don't have a roof or anything like that, so that doesn't cut into the space we have there. And then also just the room to move about my hands either direction. But this still drives like an all-wheel drive. Again, I've taken this curve a million times in different vehicles, and the Subarus always just feel like they're ready to just hit it around that corner, and this one feels no differently. But I like the one pedal drive, and I also like just the overall braking feel. It's not too much and it's not too little. So for someone like myself that daily drives an electric vehicle, and then my second vehicle is a plug-in hybrid, I have pretty good knowledge on just how different EVs drive because I'm used to driving them so often. One thing I like about this is the pickup. Now, the DC fast charging speed is not the best, but you have to realize as well, especially I use Electrify America, and my Mach-E has a 150 kilowatt max charge speed, and I don't know if I've ever actually seen it get up to past 140, which is fine because usually when I stop, again, I have a Mach-E, so that gets 300 miles per charge as opposed to this one's 220 whatever. But I just feel, I wish people would go ahead and just get on board with having the faster charge speeds. But honestly, still EVs are meant mostly to just drive around town in, and then you still want to have either a hybrid or a gas powered vehicle to do longer trips, unless you want to have to kind of plan your trip out based on the charging stations throughout the route. So we're going to try and give it a nice punch here, coming around this corner. All right, here we go. So very good pickup getting up to speed here. Let's make sure all of our cruise is on. Now, I've said this before, this is one of the most difficult things to set up in terms of having the radar cruise here, but you get the lane centering and all of that with the radar cruise control, and the ride is actually really good coming down that rougher patch of interstate there. So I was surprised by that because this is an EV, you'd expect it to ride a little rougher. But I just think this is an overall good EV, especially if you already are used to having Subarus, and you kind of get that same feel, that same capability. Well, I want to give one more thank you to Daryl Waltrip Subaru for allowing me to review the Solterra today. And then if you're looking for a Solterra in your area and you want to make sure you get the best price on one, make sure you fill out that link below. It takes about a minute or two and we can get you set up with dealers competing to get you the best price on one. But again, all in all, I think this is a pretty solid EV, and I feel like you can get one at a discount depending on how much you're willing to work for one. Because for whatever reason, people just are not as attracted to EVs as they were when these things first came out. And honestly, I feel like they're some of the best vehicles to buy, especially if you look down the road at oil prices, how much gas is now. All you have to do is just make sure that you have your home set up to charge, and if you need to travel, just have a backup car or be ready to use the charging networks that are available to you. But it's really not that bad owning one. I have 60,000 on my Mach-E and very little maintenance, and I'm sure that's the same with this Solterra, and I'm sure many other EVs out on the road. But again, I just love this because you have a Subaru EV, not an EV with a Subaru badge, if that makes sense. This just feels like a Subaru, even with all the Toyota parts that are on here. And that's definitely not a bad thing. So with all that being said, this will bring me to the end of my review of this 2024 Subaru Solterra Limited.